Welcome to the Beardmail Podcast. Today, we're talking about jokes and comedians, but obviously, every podcast episode that we do, we're going to strive to include some food, because Dan likes food, some beer, because, beer. What else are we including?
Food, sex, beer.
Oh, S-E-X. Food, sex, beer.
ASMR moments.
Maybe an ASMR moment on the old microphone down there. And was that it? That's everything we're including?
I think that's it.
That's it. So predominantly today, all about jokes.
Bear jokes.
Bear jokes. Does a bear shit in the woods?
I would have thought so.
Oh, it smells like it's shat in your mouth.
Oh, that's disgusting. I always like to high five you in that. Then you slap my thigh.
Do you know any bear jokes?
Apart from that's the only bear joke, I think.
Okay. Comedians, Dan.
Comedians, bear comedians.
Naked comedians.
Oh, naked comedians.
No, that's Naked Chef you're thinking of. Straight back to food.
Of course.
Straight to
food.
Have you ever seen any comedians live?
Yeah. So I love going to stand-up comedy. I think it's great fun. See what we did there. We're not even kicked off with the jokes yet. He's straight in with the bands.
There is going to be jokes.
No, I love going to stand up. I used to go to the Leicester Comedy Festival every year. He's going to go again. The content's so dry, you have to do the same joke again. I think it's
our content is moist. Sorry. ASMR.
Good. Yes. So yeah, I love it's live comedy. What about you?
Who have you seen live?
Do you know that's a great question. My memory is really bad for names for specific.
He ain't never been to a comedy show. We went to one for your 40th birthday,
and I couldn't tell you any of the names of the comedians. They were good-ish. Yeah. They kind of started really strong and then kind of ended up a little bit rubbish. But I've seen quite a few. I've seen Jo Brand. She was actually really quite funny. I'm really bad with names of comedians. I've seen quite a few. I've seen Alan Carr.
Yes.
Jimmy Carr. I've probably seen Jimmy Carr.
Seen him on the telly. Seen him on the. I like Jimmy Carr.
Jimmy Carr's
liked a bit of older. Let's do that for the ASMR. You're joking?
Yeah.
I am.
I'm joking.
Joking. I've seen Russell Kane. There was another guy. He's right, actually. When you try and say names, it's bad, isn't it?
Yeah. There's a cat in our neighbourhood that looks like Russell Howard.
I don't think. Does it tell jokes?
No. We don't like this cat. We try and hit it with the car. We don't. I didn't say that out loud on live.
Russell Howard's all right. I like Jimmy Carr. Frankie Boyle.
Frankie Boyle was fun. Did you ever watch Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yes.
That for me, I absolutely love. So I'm a huge fan of one-liners.
Yeah.
When it comes to people who can literally just spin off.
There is a guy that just does one-liners all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know his name, but I know who you mean.
I absolutely love it. But the Whose Line Is It Anyway? It's the responses it's the one the one where they kind of stand up and they've got to say the one-liner section.
Yeah.
And it's the responses that some of the other comedians have when they sort of step up and they just and it's when someone just drops a line, everyone's like, I can't.
You can actually, I can't beat that. But obviously, it's pre-recorded that, but you can watch it. You can just type in Frankie Boyle, Whose Line Is It Anyway? And someone's edited it all, so you see all of his.
Yeah, sweet.
Hugh is the other guy who's on there, does a lot. But yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, but there is an actual guy who just does one-liners, and he is hilarious.
I saw when he wanted. So I've been to quite a few like smaller comedy like events. Some of the, I guess I don't want to call them lesser known comedians on the circuit. So those that are sort of starting out. So some of the obviously I'm from Cambridge originally, so quite used to go to the theatre quite a lot. There's a lot of
there's a theatre because I'm from Cambridge.
But we did, and there was quite a lot of the stuff of the Footlight stuff was a lot based around comedy. There's actually it's actually a really, really cool Ace comedy, I think it is, as a night in Cambridge at the Town and Gown. Anyway, I think it's quite fun. I think as a night out, it's a good laugh as well. Something a bit different to do. But yeah, I've been to a couple where there's been a bit like, actually wasn't that funny.
Yeah. Where was I? I can't think if it was. It might have been Jimmy Carr, actually. And start off with it was really good, but then after a while, I pretty much it got in a flow of how he was doing, and I just knew what he was going to say because it's the same pattern that if you're listening intently and smart enough, you literally can figure out the strategy to his jokes, so therefore you know what he's going to say, which makes it not so funny.
I think it's difficult when you've got those more mainstream, well-known comedians, because obviously a lot of their content. I think this is probably one of the issues that a lot of comedians have got with stuff going online, and why some comedians don't want their stuff online, because especially their newer stuff, they're like, look, don't record my show because
I'm a Peter Kay, didn't it?
I'm gonna deliver this to 10 other people, and if we've already heard it, and because for a comedian to come up with continuously new content obviously must be quite a challenge. So I can imagine it being quite difficult. If it's someone like Jimmy Carr, you've probably seen his content, you've probably watched his stuff online, you've probably watched some of his other shows. There's nothing worse than going to watch someone and kind of seeing the same content, because then you're like, well, it's not funny now, because I find a joke funny if the punchline it kind of catches you off guard, and that's why I quite like dark humor sometimes. That kind of when someone tells a joke and you're like, not sure if I should laugh, but it's really funny.
I'm laughing inside. Should I let me have a look around the room first? See if anyone else.
Know my audience. That's isn't it?
Imagine that you're in an auditorium of about 400 people and you want to laugh. You look, there's one of the geezer laughing. You're like, that's my guy. And everyone else is like, it's disgusting. Get out. I've been to see Roy Chubby Brown once.
Nice.
He was in Leamington. I think that was for a mate's birthday. Can't remember. It was one of them drunken things, but. Roy Chubby Brown. He was obviously a little bit edgy, you might say.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have gone and seen Frankie Ball in that. Like, he just destroys people in the front row. But it is all in jest. But obviously, some people do take it very seriously. Cancel culture and that. There was a lot of stuff. I quite like Joe Lysy. He does some really funny stuff, but he pushes back against that sort of stuff. Ricky Gervais didn't even mention. Obviously, he's a comedian that I like. But you have to be careful what you say, especially if it's recorded online, because this is in the ether forever now. If you said an hilarious joke and I laughed, but it was wildly inappropriate, we'd be cancelled. We would be cancelled. I think the cancel culture. I think it's a shame. I think because I understand it. I mean, they always there's if someone is offended, I can't remember who it was who said it now, but it was like, look, I'm going to tell jokes. I'm going to execute my right to say what I want, and you can exercise your right not to listen. Fuck off.
Yeah, basically, you don't have to sit. I'm not forcing my content on you.
Yeah.
If you choose to watch, if you know that a comedian is known for their specific kind of jokes, don't watch it.
Yeah.
Just don't entertain. Don't even engage with it. Block them on social media if you have to. But it's when someone kind of goes, oh, that comedian that tells the really bad jokes that are really offensive. It's like, yeah, but the reason why they're continuing to tell those jokes is because some people find it funny.
Yeah.
So, if you don't find it funny, don't engage with it. And I grew up as a kid. I grew up listening to like Jim Davidson.
Confirmed he is grown up.
I'm grown up now.
Yeah, Jim
Davidson. Jim I'm about to say Jim will fix it.
Wrong Jim. Even more risky.
Wrong Jim. Wrong Jim. But he used to do, what was it he used to do? It's a big break. Was it Big Break?
Yeah.
And he was obviously quite known. He was quite a racist joke teller.
But Big Break stuff like on the telly was not as bad as what he used to do in his own stand-up. I've heard is horrendous.
Oh, but some of it is actually quite funny.
Horrendously funny.
I've
not seen it yet.
but yeah, I find it's an interesting subject. You got to look at someone like Dave Chappelle, for example, who was recently cancelled because he did quite a lot of gender jokes. Even to his sketch where he's got a whole Chinese sweatshop in his basement making him shoes.
Is that a joke though?
It is a joke. It is a joke, because he does like an episode of MTV Cribs, and he's like a big baller, and he's like, most people go to the shop to get their trainers. I like to cut out the middleman. I've got my own sweatshop, and then opens up the basement, and there's people like in there making his shoes.
I don't know.
but that's what I mean. That to some, that probably be really offensive. To me, that episode is absolutely hilarious. But it just goes to show that everyone's different, though, right? And I think it's a shame that sometimes this cancel culture is actually a thing because people are different. You can't please everyone all the time. Some people, what someone finds funny, someone will find offensive, and that's always going to be the case, right? And I find and I fear, and a lot of you read about a lot of people who are complaining and trying to fight back against cancel culture. Is because then comedians lose their right to be funny because they're too scared to offend people that they end up just telling really bad jokes, like a dad joke.
Now, this was supposed to be an hilarious podcast, but don't panic because we're going to tell you some banging jokes that are going to make you laugh.
I've got the funniest joke, apparently. Funniest joke in the world.
But You're right, actually. So if you can't not offend somebody at some point. Imagine if everybody just sort of went bland, so it was safe.
Yeah.
A, it wouldn't be funny.
No.
And B, there'd still be some people somewhere that would try and find the bland stuff offensive because you're lowering the levels, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you imagine like 10 years ago, you could be wildly offensive because there wasn't so much internet and cancel culture and all that sort of stuff. Now people have brought it down to here. Eventually, if it gets down to here, people will still be finding a way to get, oh, that's offensive. Because you're probably better off knowing these horrendous things up here. So then you can bring it down. I think. I know what I'm trying to say. But yeah, crazy. But then I was thinking like other things, like certain shows getting cancelled and that, not comedians per se, but like
Little Britain.
Only Fools and Horses, Little Britain.
Yeah.
Like even like Bottom, I love Bottom of Rick and Aid Edmondson. Like, but the stuff they actually talk about is from a different era.
Yeah.
And it is funny and it was funny, but I can see why other people wouldn't get it. I actually saw something the other day that was saying like American Pie, the film, they got like 16 to 19-year-olds or something to watch it now. And they just like didn't get it, and a lot of people thought it was offensive. But when we would have watched that in the day, like Stifler and making love to a warm apple pie, got the sex talking
and the food
and the food,
sexy
food and
food
sex at the same
nice.
time. 10 points for Damo. So yeah, but no, so even like that sort of stuff. But things change with the times, and obviously like Jim Davidson, that's from a different era, and I'm sure before then there was more horrendous comedians.
But then I think you could probably skirt around it with warnings. So I don't know if you may not have noticed it now. If you watch an old Disney film now, there's a warning in the beginning of quite a lot of the Disney films.
What it says? What? This is not real. It's a cartoon.
No. It actually has warnings to warn the audience that there may be, what's the word that it uses?
Shagging and food.
No. Because no. It's to do with. Not racism. What's the other word for kind of race? Not racism. What's it when you're offensive?
Cultural appropriation.
Yeah. So there's warnings in quite a lot of Disney films now.
It's a cartoon, though. It's not real.
But so, for example, in what's it called?
Me never watching no Disney again.
Lady and the Tramp.
Oh, you can't say that.
It's also the fact that there's two Siamese cats in there.
Right.
We are Siamese, if you please. Because they've got a slightly Chinesey, rip-taking Chinesey Asian accent.
Yeah.
And they're Siamese, and they've got the eyes that are a little bit slanted. Has to warn you. So rather than remove it, because they're saying that you can't remove it. So at the beginning of these films,
that's fucking mental.
There's actually warnings to say that there might be some cultural.
What about the word tramp? What about the word lady?
There you go. So that's another whole episode there. But
was there any consent when they were kissing on the spaghetti?
The other one, what was the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the book.
You can't say that.
Not Chocolate Fudgery, Chocolate Factory. So Augustus Gloop. This was on the papers. It was saying, even Rishi Sunak was saying, this is absolutely ridiculous. You can't start attacking all of these books. You can't start attacking all of these old pieces of written text, because all of a sudden you're going to completely lose everything will be censored. You'll lose any sort of freedom. Augustus Gloop being called fat.
I don't know who Augustus Gloop is.
So Augustus Gloop
is he a famous comedian, Dan? Seeing the whole podcast is about comedians.
No, but we're talking about censorship too. They've changed it to enormous, because apparently enormous is less offensive than fat. But it's like, I think I'd rather be called fat than enormous. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, the joke side of things, that wasn't really funny at all. It was just going on about censorship and the danger that we have if we lose our sense of comedy, laughing and joking. It's almost, I'd say, it's part of what brings communities together. It's what makes us human. It kind of, a bit of banter.
On an absolute aside, sort of. But I guess he is a comedian.
More aside than Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Enormously aside. I just got into People Do Nothing, which is a program, and they made it to a film. And there's a character in it called Chabuddy G, and he's an Indian entrepreneur. He's very much like me and you, an entrepreneur. And he mispronounces his V's for W's. But he's actually a comedian, and he's literally written a book, and I read it the other day. But what I was thinking, this is so cool. So his character is this entrepreneur, and he's very fashionable made, and he's funny as fuck. But when he goes out to places like to an award show or something, he can be his character. And the other guys in it, so they basically called Corrupt FM. They have a pirate radio station. but they are actually kick-ass MCs as well. But they can be in character, and they can be in character in public. And I would love to do that because you could fucking say whatever you want and get away with anything. Oh, it's not me. I'm just being my character. And that, I think that might be a loophole. But I would love to A, be able to do that. But B, I would also love to go out with your buddy G for a few beers.
But then at the same time, though, then they would just find a way to cancel that character. So, well, that character is offensive, so therefore we would find a way to stop the character being allowed to do stuff.
But I've just like Ali G, like for example, that's amazingly brilliant and funny. But that is his character, I suppose. But if he gets arrested, he gets like he got arrested and he picked up Pam Ransom threw in a bag.
Oh, that's
yeah. That was when he was Borat. But yeah, so you do get in trouble. Be careful out there.
So you can't just use your character as a scapegoat, because obviously then everyone would just go, well, my character is a weird, twisted murderer, and I can get away with purging.
Murdering. I was just thinking that your buddy G says, aka the Girfinator. I think that's what I relate to.
The Girfinator. So before we crack on to the last part of the bit where we're going to tell.
He's got his phone out. He's got his phone out. Apparently,
this is computer friend. Apparently, I did a search, and this is the funniest joke in the world.
Okay, and I've got not to laugh, right? Don't listen in tight. This is the fun bit, right? You're not allowed to laugh at Dan's hilarious jokes.
So 2 hunters are out in the woods when one of them collapses. He's already laughing.
I'm not ready.
2 hunters in the woods and he's already lost it. So 2 hunters are out in the woods when one of them collapses. He doesn't seem to be breathing and his eyes are glazed.
Why are you laughing? What are you laughing for? Josh, we're not allowed to laugh.
Because I got as far as the other guy whips out.
It's good for them, mate.
The other guy whips out his phone and calls the emergency services. He gasps, "My friend is dead. What can I do?" The operator says, "Calm down. I can help. First, let's make sure he's dead." There is a silence. Then a gunshot is heard. Back on the phone, the guy says, "Okay, now what?"
You know, I used to answer the phone for 999, right?
But it's not. Apparently, that's supposed to be one of the funniest jokes in the world.
That's hilarious.
So he obviously goes and shoots his mate in the head.
I'm at the moment. I'm reading a book on anti-gravity. It's impossible to put down.
Oh, I like it.
Like enough to laugh, or
no, not quite. Okay.
I'm on a whiskey diet.
So we're not going to bounce back. Should we do 1 on 1?
So far, I've lost 3 days. Oh. Well, these are one-liners, so I might just roll them off.
Oh,
just roll them off. Don't laugh.
We should do one each. No, let's do one each.
Have you got one-liners?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, go on.
So I'll start. Well planned, this one. Welcome to the Beardmail Podcast. As you can see, well rehearsed. We don't rehearse anything here. Why don't scientists trust atoms?
Because they make up everything.
Have you got that on yours as well?
He's got the same computer friend that I have.
Have you got that joke?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Why don't some couples go to the gym?
Because they don't work out.
Computer friend.
Why did the Scarecrow win an award?
Oh, I don't know.
Because he was outstanding in his field.
I like that. Although we're not supposed to laugh, right? Stop laughing.
Sorry.
Stop laughing. Right. Stop. If you laugh, you lose 10 points. I'm a big fan of whiteboards. They're remarkable.
What do you call fake spaghetti?
I do know something like this.
It's an impasta.
I'm trying to organise a hide and seek tournament, but it's really hard to find good players.
Oh, what do you call a pile of cats?
Bunch of pussy.
A mountain.
I was going to make a belt out of watches, but then I realised it would be a waste of time.
Oh.
Do me the cat one again.
Why did the tomato turn red? Because it saw the salad dressing.
Did you hear about the kidnapping at the park? They woke up. Kidnapping.
Oh, okay. Still didn't get it at the end. Towards the end. Why didn't the bicycle stand up by itself? It was too tired.
I'm reading a book about teleportation. It's bound to get me somewhere.
Oh, I like that. It's not funny though.
I don't like it, Dan. Laugh. That was it, right? We only had 10, right? How many have you done?
Well, I don't think we had 10 because we had some conflicting ones, didn't we? What's the one part of the salad that doesn't want to be there?
The tomato.
Let us leave.
I have one that's not crap. Are you ready?
Yeah.
This was not official, but one of the greatest from the year I was born, 1981. One of the funniest jokes at the time is from the two Ronnies. He said, "I told my wife she was drawing her eyebrows on too high. She looked surprised."
How do you? Oh no, what was it? I tried to make a salad drive, but struggled. Didn't avocado.
It's getting bad now, isn't it? We've done 20 minutes yet. Oh, we have. Thank God for that. Well, thanks for joining the Beardmail Podcast. We'll leave you with our banging outro. Say bye, Dan.
Bye. It's a Beardmail Podcast.
Subscribe.
It's a Beardmail Podcast.
Subscribe.
It's a Beardmail Podcast.
Subscribe.
Listen and subscribe.
Subscribe.
Like if you like.
Subscribe.
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 It's a Beardmail Podcast.
Subscribe.